رحم الله من أعادها ثانية.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ثالثة على حبي أبي الفضل العباس بأعلى أصواتكم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, and may God's holy blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad and the purified members of his household and progeny. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is reported that Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam said from his forefathers all the way to Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, who reports himself this narration about himself. I'll read it in Arabic first and then we'll translate. Imam al Hussain entered on the Holy Prophet and the Holy Prophet said, Marhaban bika ya Hussain, يا زين السماوات والأرض. فقال الحسين عليه السلام وهل غيرك يا رسول الله زين السماوات والأرض. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله بلى يا حسين أو بلى يا أبا عبد الله إنه أنت، وإنه لمكتوب على يمين العرش الحسين مصباح هدى وسفينة نجاة وإمام علم وتقى وذخر وفخر وعز وفهم. As we said, it is narrated from our Imam al-Jawad, peace upon him, from his forefathers, from Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, who says, he entered on the Holy Prophet, who said to him, Greetings, O Hussain, you who are the beauty of the heavens and the earth. So Imam al Hussain alayhi salam asked the Holy Prophet, is there anyone but you, O Messenger of God, who is the beauty of the heavens and the earth? And the Prophet responded, yes, it is you, O Hussain. And it is written on the right of the throne of God that Hussain is the lantern of guidance, or Hussain is a lantern of guidance and a ship of rescue. And he is an Imam of knowledge and piety, of might, and he is a treasured heritage, and he is an Imam of might and an Imam of understanding. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This is but one narration that we have from the Holy Prophet about the merits and the position of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. And if we wanted to enumerate or list these prophetic narrations about Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, it would truly take a very long time. And then if we combine to those narrations that are specific to the Imam, the ones that include the Imam with, for instance, Imam al-Hasan or the rest of Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, then we would have hundreds, if not thousands, of these narrations. And our scholars have filled entire volumes with these narrations, specifically about Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, and generally about Ahl al-Bayt, which includes Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. So of course we're not trying to cover these narrations in their entirety. What we would like to do tonight is to see the position of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam in the narrations of the Holy Prophet. So what we will try to do is to identify three of the main themes or three categories of sayings that show us the status of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam from different angles. The first one is the angle that covers the status and rank and position of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam in general. The second one is the category that encompasses the narrations of the Holy Prophet that specifically include the dimension of imamah of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. And we do not have the time to spend more time on studying this specific category of ahadith tonight. But do keep in mind that these are quite important from a theological point of view for our belief system, because they are going to establish, first of all, the main tenet that distinguishes the school of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam because of their belief in this principle of imamah. And it will also establish that this quality of imamah does belong to Imam al Hussain alayhi salam specifically. And it establishes that the lineage of the imamah descends from the descendants of the imam. And it also establishes that the imam of our time, the savior, Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu farajah, is also a descendant of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. So this second category, although we will not study it in detail, serves all these theological purposes. And finally, the last category of prophetic narrations that we will give a sample of are the abundant, numerous narrations that we have from the Holy Prophet, where he highlights the dimension of tragedy surrounding the personality of Imam al Hussain and his history and his demise. And today we know that those are the events that unfolded in Karbala. Of course, as an introduction to all of this, we know that when we are about to describe or explain or try to understand any phenomena, if that description or that explanation is coming from an expert, from a specialist, it is not going to be the same as when it is coming from a commoner, from a non-specialist, from a non-expert. If I'm walking in the street and I look at a tree, all I see is a tree, is the external appearance of the tree. But the botanist, the specialist in this kind of tree, will see a lot more. He will see how this tree grows and functions. He will know what type of tree it is, what class of trees it belongs to, what kind of fruits it can give, whether it has disease or not, how to make it grow better, and so on and so forth, even to the smallest details of photosynthesis and the internal functioning of the tree. And this applies to everything, from the very concrete things. If I'm looking at the engine of a car or a train locomotive, I'm not going to see much from it, but the mechanical engineer is going to see much more. If I want to take something more abstract, like an economic principle, for instance, I may understand in general what's going on, but I won't really understand how the rates of inflation are determined by countries, or how the value of a currency is established between one country and another. But the expert is going to see that. The expert is going to understand the hidden meanings of things. The expert is going to go to the depths of that knowledge, and he will be the one who is going to be able to explain that to someone like me in the right way. If we come to a human being, the complexity is a lot higher. Scholars agree that there is nothing more complex in the universe that we know of than a human being. And then if we come to a human being like Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, then that complexity increases to unimaginable levels because of the level of the Imam, because of his position before God and in history. So who better to look at when we are trying to understand the personality of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam than to go to the expert of the experts, to go to the Holy Prophet himself as a starting point to understand Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. So that's what we're trying to do tonight. And as we said, we can't really go in depth into these narrations. So what we're trying to do is to identify three bundles, three themes or categories that we can then use afterwards. Every time we hear of a narration about Imam al Hussain from the Holy Prophet or from one of the Imams, we're going to start identifying themes and categories and linking them together and using them later for different theological and belief purposes.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
One of the objections that someone may say, as we see sometimes when we look at, we find that there are people who are specialists, who are experts on certain historical personalities. And sometimes we say, yeah, he is an expert, but he's biased. Maybe he has family ties. And this happens. But this does not, as we all believe, apply to the Holy Prophet when it comes to describing Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, or for in fact, anyone. First of all, when we look at the way that the Holy Prophet has dealt with people in his own family, we see that he has not dealt with them on a familial basis. He doesn't deal with them because they are family members. He is objective. The way he looks at the world is with divine eyes, 100% based on the truth. So we see that he has identified some people in his family who have committed sins, and he does not give them any merit. And he has identified other people in his family where he does not say anything, he keeps it neutral. And then he has identified people in his family where he clearly shows and establishes their merits. When the Holy Prophet gives the merits of someone, it is not based on his family ties with them. Regardless of the family ties, we believe that the Holy Prophet is going to give us the absolute truth. This is in addition to our belief in the Holy Quran, which tells us that the Holy Prophet never utters anything from his own desire or whim, that everything that he utters, everything that he says is a revealed revelation, which means that it is the absolute truth as revealed by God. So keeping all of this in mind, let's come to the first category. The first category of narrations has to do with the position of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam in general. As an introduction, before we go into a couple of samples, we know that human beings do not deal with everybody in the same manner. It's general, and it should be that way, that when you know that someone has a certain merit, a certain distinction, for instance, because of their faith or because of their knowledge or because of some sort of accomplishment, you're not going to treat them in the same manner. In a normal human society, for instance, in a professional context, you're going to see some people clearly identified as being a doctor or an engineer or a chartered accountant. We want to make sure we identify that person for his competence, for his qualifications, and to deal with them and give them the respect that is due to them once we know that they hold those merits. When we come to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, anyone who looks at their lives, anyone who lives with them will see that they are above and beyond comparison, that they can hold their own. Imam Ali alayhi salam, or anyone from Ahlul Bayt, does not need someone from the outside to come and say he has merits and he has a certain position and he has a certain status. In fact, he's incomparable from every dimension. No one matches his eloquence, no one matches his loyalty, no one matches his bravery, no one matches his knowledge, and so on and so forth. And yet, we see that the Holy Prophet makes a point and seizes every occasion he has to make sure that he is going to highlight the position of Ahlul Bayt. For instance, Imam Ali alayhi salam. He does not want to leave it to chance. He wants to make sure that if someone follows the Holy Prophet, then he's going to follow him and accept what the Holy Prophet is saying about this person from Ahlul Bayt, such as Imam Ali. So when we come to Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, the same thing applies. It is not that the Imam's position and rank require more elucidation and illumination because they can't be seen and they're not obvious by their own. It's that the Holy Prophet does not want to leave it to chance. He wants to make sure that everybody understands what that status and what that position is. So as we said in the introduction, and I do not want to repeat the narration that we cited at the beginning, this is one of the narrations that the Holy Prophet gives us to tell us, to show us the position and rank of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam by himself, in himself, without looking at other dimensions. He's basically saying that Imam al Hussain alayhi salam has a universal worth, a universal position. As we know, Imam al Hussain was born in Medina. When the Holy Prophet says, he greets the Imam by telling him that he is the beauty of the heavens and the earth, The Holy Prophet is establishing a truth that Imam al Hussain goes beyond time and goes beyond space. The Imam is not limited to the time in which he was born. The Imam is not limited to the city of Medina in which he was born. When the Holy Prophet says he is the beauty of the heavens and the earth. Think about that. The Holy Prophet is establishing a universal truth to the personality of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. A second narration in this regard is the one that we find cited from the great companion of the Holy Prophet Salman al-Muhammadi, who says, we were praying in the mosque and we were in the fourth rak'ah when, while we were praying, Imam al-Hasan and Imam al Hussain, who were still children at that time, walked into the mosque, and then as soon as we were done, the Holy Prophet called them and he sat Imam al-Hasan in his right lap and on his right leg, and he sat Imam al Hussain on his left leg. And he said, "O people, let me tell you about the best of all people. The best in father, the best in mother, the best in grandfather, the best in grandmother, the best in maternal uncle and aunt, the best in paternal uncle and aunt." And he stopped talking and people waited. And Salman says, we all thought the Holy Prophet is going to allude to himself. We all believe that the Holy Prophet is the best of all creation. But the Holy Prophet said, "It is these two my sons." And then he went on to explain that while the Holy Prophet in himself is the greatest of all creatures, his father is not as good as the father of Imam Hassan and Imam al Hussain. And his mother is not as good as the mother of Imam al Hassan and Hussain. Nor is his own grandfather, nor is his own grandmother, and so on and so forth. These are the kinds of narrations that the Holy Prophet has given us to clearly establish a position, the status, the rank of Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussain specifically for us. The narrations that we have for the position and the rank of the Imams are very numerous. One of them we know very well, for instance, is the one that says that Sayid Shabab Ahl al-Jannah, the masters of the youth of paradise, are Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain. As we said, the narrations that we have in this category are very numerous. And all of them can be summarized as narrations that clearly establish and explain the position, the rank, the status of the Imam in themselves, the position that they hold in the universe, the position that they hold in the eyes of God. Maybe one last point that we can add before moving on to the second category is that sometimes one of us wants to praise someone, so we're going to do it publicly, and it's almost as an act of encouragement or formality. Let's say I have a business and I have a really good worker. When people come, I say, "This is my best worker." I praise him in front of them, publicly, to encourage him. Or maybe I want to encourage my son, so I tell in front of people, I say he's getting excellent marks at school. He's doing really well. When the Holy Prophet says the narrations that he says to explain the positions and the ranks of Ahlul Bayt, is it in terms of a formality? Is it in terms of encouragement? No. When the Holy Prophet is saying these things, he is establishing theological functions. He is giving us our belief system. He is establishing religious truths. So these cannot be considered as simple formalities or acts of encouragement, or as we said, because of family ties, for instance, from the Holy Prophet to the Imams, and specifically to Imam al Hussain. Let's move to the second category. This category is the one in which we find the narrations of the Holy Prophet having to do specifically with the role of the Imamah as regards to Imam al Hussain. We have a narration, and many of the narrations I'm citing tonight for information, if anyone wants to go back, are taken from kitab, from a book called Kamal al-Din wa Itmam al-Ni'mah of Shaykh al-Saduq. And many of them, while I'm giving one version, they come in different versions. Very small differences between them, but it gives us a general idea that they were perhaps repeated in different instances with very minor differences. And one such narration is that we have Imam al Hussain alayhi salam walking in on the Holy Prophet while he's sitting with his companions. And the Holy Prophet says, once again in Arabic, and then we translate, the Holy Prophet says, Anta Sayid wa ibn Sayid, Anta Imam wa ibn Imam, wa akhu Imam, wa abu al-a'immati tis'ah, tasi'uhum qa'imuhum. The Holy Prophet is saying, you are a master and the son of a master. You are an imam and the son of an imam, and the brother of an imam, and the father of 9 imams, the last of them being the one who rises, which is our imam, the imam of our time. This narration, as we said, is establishing the notion of imamah. And if we study it properly, we see that this narration is actually establishing a number of theological beliefs and principles that we need in our religion. The first being imamah itself, as a principle in religion. The second, that Imam al Hussain alayhi salam is an imam. The third, that the lineage of the A'immah must come from Imam al Hussain. And the last, that Imam al-Mahdi ajjallahu farajah comes from the descendants, is a descendant of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. These would require a lot of explaining because they are deep theological issues in Islamic sciences. So we keep it at this level for now, but these become keys to study later. And again, if we go back to the first narration that we started the lecture with, after the Holy Prophet explained that the Imam is the beauty of the heavens and the earth, he went on to say that it is written on the right of the throne. Of course, the throne, as we believe, is not anything materialistic. When we hear the word throne, whether it's in the Quran or the Hadith, or the hand of God, or the face of God, these are metaphors, these are symbols for some of the attributes of God. When we hear the word throne, we have to think of the sovereignty of God. We have to think of the power of the knowledge of God. So when the Holy Prophet says that Imam Hussain alayhi salam has been identified as a lantern of guidance, and as I said, in another narration, he has been identified as the lantern of guidance. And in this narration, he's been identified as a ship of rescue, and in the other narration, as the ship of rescue, exclusively. We have these little variations in the narrations, but the idea is the same, and this, as our scholars often say, it means that the narration was repeated in different times, in different instances. And maybe one final point about these kinds of narrations. They are reported as the one that I just cited, that starts with Anta Sayyid wa ibn Sayyid, that clearly establishes the imamah of Imam al Hussain and his lineage. This narration specifically has been reported by scholars of all Islamic schools. It's one of those narrations that you find reported by all scholars. And so this becomes a good starting point if you want to talk about Imam al Hussain's position, not only before God, but in Islam and in Islam's belief system. The last category of the narrations that we wanted to talk about is the one in which the Holy Prophet alludes to the tragic aspect, to the tragic dimension of the personality of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. And once again, there are many narrations that fall in this category. What these narrations establish to us is the importance of the emotional, affective attachment that we must have with the Imam. Sometimes people say, let's concentrate only on the intellectual dimension, on the beliefs and theological dimension of the Imam. That's not sufficient. The Holy Prophet himself has not acted this way. The Holy Prophet himself has made sure, has insisted on the tragedy aspect of the personality and the history of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And this started from the day of the birth of the Imam. In some of our narrations, we have that right before, a little bit before the birth of the Imam Hussain alayhi salam, the aunt of the Holy Prophet, Safiya bint Abdul Muttalib, came to the Prophet and she was in fear. And she told him that she thought she had seen a nightmare. She saw a piece of the flesh of the Holy Prophet in her lap. So the Holy Prophet calmed her down and told her, this is not a nightmare. This is a very good dream. This is glad tidings. The interpretation of this dream is that a son will be born to me and you will take care of him. And time passes by, and then we see in the narration Safiya herself telling us that she was the midwife of Fatima al-Zahra, and the day Fatima al-Zahra was giving birth, and the moment Imam al Hussain alayhi salam was being born, the Holy Prophet showed up and he called his aunt Safiya and he told her, Safiya, bring me my son. And Safiya responded to the Holy Prophet saying, I have not cleaned him. In Arabic she says, Ma tahhartuhu, I haven't purified him or cleaned him yet. And the Holy Prophet tells her, Safiya, are you the one who is going to clean him? God has cleaned him and purified him from above 7 heavens before his birth. And maybe a quick allusion to the verse of Tathir that we have in Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah 33. Our scholars insist in their interpretation of this verse. They say that when we say God purifies Ahlul Bayt, it does not mean that the uncleanliness or the impurity reaches them and then God removes it. This is maybe one type of purification. This is the one that we know. What the verse is actually saying is that God prevents the impurity from ever getting to them in the first place. And we see in our different narrations manifestations of this. And this is one of them. And we have many of these. And it's not time to go into those details. Just a quick reference. Notice in this narration how the Holy Prophet said, he alluded to Imam al Hussain alayhi salam and he said, my son. Bring me my son. This is an important point. It's important because the Umayyads, Bani Umayyah and the Abbasids did everything they could to try to get rid of this quality of Imam Hassan and Imam al Hussain, especially the Abbasids. They were trying to put themselves on an equal footing with Banu Hashim, so they would always insist that Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, yes, they are the descendants, but they're the sons of Fatima and not the sons of the Prophet. And they would refer to the A'imma and they would go into dialogue with the Imams, the different caliphs of the Abbasids. They would often go into debate with the A'imma about this point. So it's important that we notice it. So the Holy Prophet says, bring me my son. And he takes his son. And in the narration, Safiya says he took him and he kissed him and he started crying. So Safiya got really shocked, surprised. He should be in a state of joy. He should be in a state of happiness. He just had a second grandson. And so she asked him, and he said, I am crying because he will be killed. And she said, who would kill him? Because this is even more surprising. The Holy Prophet, this is year 4 after the migration. The Holy Prophet is a well-established leader. Who would dare kill his son? And who would dare even think of killing this baby? But obviously the Holy Prophet was not referring to the state of the Imam while he's a child. He's referring to things to come. He said the transgressors from Banu Umayyah are going to kill him. May God curse them and never let them reach my intercession, or never let my intercession reach them. And then he added to Safiya, telling her, Safiya, do not let this news reach Fatima. In this narration, Fatima al-Zahra, the mother of the Imam, has just given birth. There is no reason to tell her about this right away. But of course we know that this news reached very quickly. And we have many narrations about this as well. For instance, one of these narrations, we have that the Holy Prophet, we are told, came to the house of Fatima al-Zahra And they say that he stood at the door and he saw that Fatima and Imam Ali and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain were all in the house. When he saw them, he smiled, he came into the house, he prayed 2 raka'at, and then he went into sujood. And then he started crying. And everybody saw the Holy Prophet crying, and they started crying, but no one dares to say anything. Then the Holy Prophet called Imam al Hussain. When he raised his head, he called Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. And then he started kissing him. He kissed him on his neck, he kissed him on his eye, he kissed him on his lips, he kissed him on his forehead, he lifted his shirt and kissed him on his chest, and then he continued kissing him all over his body. No one said anything. They continued to cry because they see the Holy Prophet crying. Then finally Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, who would have been about 4 years old at that time, he asked the Holy Prophet, he said, "O Messenger of God, you came to our house, you were happy and you were smiling, and then you became sad and you started crying." And the Holy Prophet said, "I started crying. I was happy when I came because I saw you all gathered here. And then I became sad and I started crying when I remembered what will happen to each of you after me. As for you, Hussein, you will be killed unjustly. And as for your brother, he will be killed unjustly. And as for your father, he will be killed unjustly, and your descendants will be persecuted all over earth." These narrations that insist on the tragic dimension of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, as we said, are very numerous. And the attachment between the Holy Prophet and Imam Hussain alayhi salam, where we see the insistence on the tragic dimension, is present from the, as we said, from the first day of the birth of the Imam till the last day of the life of the Holy Prophet. When we have in our narrations that Imam Hussain alayhi salam was lying down with his chest on the chest of the Holy Prophet as the Prophet was passing away. And the last words that we have in that instance is the Holy Prophet saying, "Oh, how dear you are to me, Hussein, may God curse Yazid." We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us understand the position and the rank of Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us true followers of the Imamah of the Imam al Hussain alayhi salam. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us how to mourn the Imam in the manner in which the Holy Prophet has taught us. Assalamu ala al-Hussain wa ala Ali ibn al-Hussain wa ala awlad al-Hussain wa ala ashab al-Hussain wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi al-tayyibin al-tahirin.